Once you've created your preset, it creates your look for your photography, so that when you have your portfolio all nice and up and running on the internet for your clients to look at, they can see what you're all about, how you edit and how you shoot, and they can choose you for their particular job. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is deal with this horrible vignetting on these photos. So go to lens corrections, just scroll down till you get to that tab. It might be closed, but just hit the arrow to open it up, and then just tick these two boxes here. Once those profile corrections have been enabled, you can see a massive difference to the photo. It will get rid of the distortion and the vignetting. Just make sure that your lens profile has been picked up correctly here. It should have the correct make and model of your lens populated in those drop down fields. If it's not, you can scroll through manually and try and find it. If it's not there, you might find it later in an update, or you can actually adjust them manually by hitting the manual button here. Okay, so we're happy with that. So let's then scroll up to the basic area here at the top. We're not going to touch the white balance. The reason for that being is every photo is going to need white balance adjustment. So we don't want that to be a generic change to every photo we import. Remember, we're going to be using this particular preset when we import our photos. So it's going to be on every single photo that you bring into Lightroom. So don't touch the white balance. What we are going to do, just for the purpose of working with this preset, is to increase the exposure of this photo because it's a little dark. So let's increase that to the right slightly there. Just check out your histogram and make sure that you're not overexposing the photo using your histogram. The reason we use the histogram is because everybody's laptops and desktops are set differently. Their screens are not all calibrated the same, and they might be brighter or darker. So use the histogram so that we know that you're not overexposing your photos. Okay, I'm also going to add a little contrast to my photos. This is a personal taste. I'm going to add around 14-15. Highlights need to come down. As you see on the left hand side, the highlights are blown out. So let's bring that down so you can see some detail through the window. Shadows I'm going to increase because of the dark areas you can see on the right hand side. Just till you can see some detail in the shadows. Now for the whites and blacks, we're going to hit the Option key on your keyboard, hold that down, and then slide. Once you start sliding, you see everything goes dark. Just bring the whites up until you can see them just start to appear, and then you should be in a good place. Do the same with the blacks. Hold the Option key down and slide until you can see the blacks just appearing, and then you should also be in the right spot. I don't want any texture, but clarity I will add. A good way to work out how much you want to adjust clarity and other sliders is to just increase it to the max. Have a look at that and then put it right down to the 0 and have a look at the difference it is. So obviously we don't want this soft focus 80s look, and we don't want 100% clarity, which looks ridiculous. So we just want to add a little. So as you slide it down, you'll see where you want it to be. It's your own personal preference, but I like it around 10 to 15. I don't need to put any dehaze. Vibrance and saturation I will probably add individually to certain photos, so I don't want that as my generic preset. And then we're going to scroll down to sharpening. It already has some adjustments, so that's just the generic adjustments that Adobe makes. What we're going to do is, because I don't have any sharpening in camera, my camera profile is set to a neutral profile with 0 sharpening, so we're going to add sharpening here now. So the way to add sharpening is to use the masking first of all. So hit your Option key again and slide that to the right. And what we want to do is keep sliding it until it's just picking up the outlines of the objects on the tables and the furniture that we can see. We don't want it to sharpen everything, just the edges. So slide it up until you get just the edges showing. Around 80 is usually. And then we can add sharpening. Now let's do that again. So that's right up to the top, 150. Let's zoom in and see what effect that has on objects. You can see it's over sharpening because you can see jagged lines and dimpling here on these objects. So let's reduce that down to 0. And when it's on 0, you can see that obviously there's no sharpening at all around the edges of these objects. So let's pop that up until we're happy. Don't want to over sharpen it, remember. So let's keep it down to around about 20 or 30%. Let's zoom out by clicking on the photo again, and that should be great. That's pretty much all you need to adjust. I'm not going to hit any transformations on here. I don't want any upright, vertical, horizontal corrections at all, because every photo is different. Sometimes I'm taking on purpose a shot that is not meant to be straight. So let's just leave that and we'll adjust that individually. One extra thing you can do, and I recommend doing, is changing the profile from Adobe Color to something more neutral. The Adobe Color profile is not bad, but it does introduce a little bit more color than I would like on some of my photos. So what I like to do is keep it neutral. Now, if you go down into Browse, you can find a profile that will perfectly match your camera. Go to Camera Matching, and it's got some suggestions here. I use the neutral one, but click on a few of these and play around and see which one you like best. It's a personal preference. As I said, neutral is the one for me, so I'm going to select that and then just click Close. Now, there you go. So that's the basic adjustments. Now we can have a little look and see what that looks like. Just go down here to the before and after button on the left bottom hand side of Lightroom. Click on that and you can see the difference that's made. So that's great. What we need to do now is just save that preset so that you can use that when you import your photos. So let's loop out of this and then click on the panel on the left hand side. Now we hit the plus button here and then create preset. Rename that to whatever you want it to be. Real estate interiors, for example. And just click create. Perfect, that's done. So now you can test that out with another photo. If you click on another one, this one for example, let's reset that completely and take off the lens corrections. So that's how it is out of camera. Lots of distortion, vignetting, and a whole load of mess. Let's go to our preset and hit Real Estate Interiors, and that's pretty much spot on. So now when you import your photos, you can add that preset to every single one, and I'll show you how. Go into your library here, and when you go to import, if you look at the right hand side there, it says Develop Settings. Just click on that, User Presets, and then you can choose whichever preset you like. I've got a bunch here for different things that I use. Interiors, exteriors, etc., etc. And you just click on the one you want to use, and then when you click import, that'll apply to every single photo. Okay, so that is it. That's the simple way to create a preset for your Lightroom imports. I hope that was useful, and thank you so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe and come back for more videos soon. Thank you very much.